My name is Courtney Gilbert, and I'm the curator of visual arts at the Sun Valley Center for the Arts. And the exhibition that we have up right now is called We the People, Protest and Patriotism. This fall, we're looking at the idea of participatory democracy as an opportunity to have a community-wide conversation about the importance of civic participation in order to ensure the continuance of American democracy. Whether that's showing up at the polls on election day to vote, or running for local office, attending city council and town hall meetings to make your voice heard. This exhibition is part of 4 Freedom's 50-state initiative to create dialogue about the importance of civic engagement. And as one of their 50 states partners, we're joining forces with more than 200 arts institutions across the country. One of the things that was important to us was to ground this exhibition in the history of civic engagement within the United States. One of the founding moments in this country's history, the Boston Tea Party, it was an act of political dissent. And that coming together of citizens has been a critical part of our history. We were lucky to be able to borrow some historical materials from the Wolfsonian Museum in Miami Beach, Florida. We have a broadside of women organizing to demand the right to vote. We have materials from the 1930s and 1940s, parts of campaigns to ask for increased rights for workers, led eventually to the passage of the Social Security Act, the 40-hour work week, the minimum wage. And then we also have materials related to peace marches in the 1950s. We also have a number of objects from the collection of Wendy and Alan Pesky, who are part-time residents of the Wood River Valley. Alan Pesky became very involved in the American movement for Soviet Jewry in the 1980s and helped organize annual marches to advocate for Jews in the Soviet Union. One of the artists in the exhibition who's looking at the history of protests here in the United States, as well as contemporary protest marches, is an artist named Debra. She's spent a lot of time thinking about collective memory and how we remember our history. She has made ink drawings on mylar using newspaper archives and yearbooks, photographs that were made in the late 1960s and early 1970s, many related to the anti-war movement, some of high school students who are advocating for greater rights for Chicanos. Kate Haug is an artist based in San Francisco. She made a large-scale installation project that delved into the history of Martin Luther King's 1968 Poor People's Campaign. Part of that campaign, 3,000 people occupied the Washington Mall. She's really interested in the way that information circulates through small magazine articles or newspaper articles or, for instance, matchboxes. As part of the project, she had matchboxes made and embossed with the words, "You hold democracy in your hands." And visitors to the exhibition are invited to take one of these matchboxes with them, which carry the key message of this entire exhibition. One of the artists who's in the exhibition is a photographer named Paul Shambroom, who spent several summers making road trips across the United States, visiting very small towns and attending their city council meetings. We have 4 photographs from this project of the kind of governing that goes on at the grassroots level. There's something very theatrical about them. They seem almost like stage sets made from the point of view of someone sitting in the audience, of government at work at its most local level. There's something kind of heroic about them. We were able to borrow photographs that were made by an artist named Paul Fusco, who was hired to travel with Robert F. Kennedy's funeral train from New York City to Washington, D.C. He was struck by Americans in a moment of mourning coming together to say goodbye to Bobby Kennedy as his funeral train passed them by. The power of that moment of people coming together is also reflected in photographs that were made by the photographer Eugene Richards in 2014. He was commissioned by National Geographic to make a body of work that traced the path of Abraham Lincoln's funeral train. And something like 2 million people came out to bid him farewell. Mel Ziegler is an artist who's based in Nashville, Tennessee, and also Rushville, Nebraska. We have an installation of distressed, tattered American flags that he has collected over the last few years. The project is called O, with an exclamation point. On top of each flag, a lyric to the national anthem is embroidered. To acquire the flags for the project, he traveled through all 50 states and exchanged new flags for old tattered flags. He's curious about why in this country we do fly the flag so much, what it means to people across the political spectrum, and the power of the flag as a symbol. The idea of the flag as a living thing, representing a living country, I think is part of the underlying theme behind this whole project, which is that this country is a living, evolving nation, and all of us are asked to participate in that in order to ensure its continuing life. I hope that everybody will come in and see the exhibition. Admission is always free, and we have a whole calendar of related events.